Beneath a velvet choker, she concealed a scar, and layered over it a cascade of pearls and ancient diamonds. Queen Alexandra of Denmark made her vulnerability a symbol of an era, all while becoming one of the great collectors of royal necklaces. She was rarely seen without multiple strands around her neck, each chosen with care, each carrying a story of tradition, sentiment, or state. But a century later, where have these precious shields scattered? Which ones continue to shine on royalty today, and which have vanished into mysterious vaults? Today, we'll uncover a dual history, that of a woman who turned a private pain into a storm of public trends, and of the fate of her legendary necklaces dispersed among museum cases, auction blocks, and the royal figures of our time. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. When the young Danish princess Alex first arrived in Britain in 1863, she seemed to have stepped right out of a fairy tale. She came from the relatively modest Danish court, the Sea King's daughter, and her natural grace and striking beauty instantly captivated the British public. To a court still shadowed by the deep mourning for Prince Albert, she was a welcome ray of sunshine, but it was her innate understanding of how to wear jewels that truly set her apart. She didn't just put them on, she orchestrated them, creating a spectacle of light and luxury. A contemporary, the Duchess of Marlborough, never forgot the sight of her at Windsor, recalling how diamonds cascaded from neck to waist. She made jewels come alive. Yet, behind all that scintillating public sparkle was a quiet, lifelong consideration, a scar on her neck, the result of a childhood operation. Its exact cause remains a small historical puzzle. The most credible theory points to surgery for tuberculous lymph nodes, though other possibilities were discussed at the time. What we know for certain is that this very private insecurity profoundly shaped her public style, and her solution would, remarkably, change the course of fashion. She chose not simply to hide it, but to adorn it with an elegance that the world rushed to copy. Her signature became the choker. If you look at portraits of Alexandra from her time as Princess of Wales and later as Queen, you will almost always see them. Layers upon layers of pearls, clasped tightly to create a high collar of soft, luminous gems against her skin. Sometimes 3 rows, sometimes 6, sometimes even more. This collier de chien, or dog collar style, became her uniform, a look so influential that it was adopted by society ladies from London to St. Petersburg. She would often wear these pearl collars high on the throat, with longer diamond necklaces cascading below, a magnificent combination of soft luster and brilliant fire. But Alexandra's love for the choker style wasn't limited to her signature strands of pearls. As the new century dawned, she also embraced the lighter, more intricate designs of the Edwardian era, often worked in fashionable platinum. A perfect example is this delicate, almost lace-like diamond choker. It's a masterpiece of the period's taste for lightness and elegance, a fine lattice of platinum set with glittering diamond swags and circles. After Alexandra's death, like so many of her personal jewels, it disappeared from public view for decades. It was simply put away, a relic of a bygone fashion. Then, in 1971, the world saw it again. A young Princess Anne, in a wonderful and surprising nod to her ancestor, wore it to a gala. When Princess Anne chose it, it was more than just a beautiful choice from the vaults. It was a characteristically thoughtful gesture. Anne, a great admirer of her family's history, was consciously reviving a piece that hadn't been seen in half a century, creating a direct, visible link to her celebrated great-great-grandmother. This elegant choker, with its quiet journey from one royal generation to the next, is really just our entry point. The stories of Alexandra's other, grander necklaces are far more complex, weaving through wills, auctions, and the vaults of different royal houses. While the chokers defined her personal style, Alexandra's collection also included magnificent pieces that were destined to become pillars of the royal collection itself. These aren't just jewels that were worn and put away. These are living pieces of history, their stories bringing us right into the present day. Let's begin with one of the most romantic and significant of all her jewels, her wedding necklace. This was the centerpiece of a spectacular parure, a matched set of jewels, and a deeply personal gift from her new husband, the Prince of Wales, for their wedding in 1863. The newspapers of the day noted that the prince had personally supervised the design with the crown jeweler, Gerard. It was a magnificent suite, including a diamond tiara, large cluster earrings, a brooch, and the necklace itself, a beautiful cascade of light composed of 8 large clusters of diamonds and pearls with detachable pear-shaped pearl drop pendants. She wore it on her wedding day, of course, a new bride adorned with her husband's gift, and over the years, she returned to it often. She was quite creative in how she wore her jewels, sometimes adding extra pendants to the necklace for a grander look, or even detaching elements from the parure to sew onto her gowns, as she did for her coronation. After she died in 1925, the parure was divided. Her daughter, Princess Victoria, inherited the tiara and, well, she eventually disposed of it. It's one of those quiet losses for the royal collection and a reminder that not everything is preserved forever. But the necklace, along with its matching earrings and brooch, was passed down to her formidable daughter-in-law, Queen Mary. And it's here that the necklace's story takes a wonderful turn. Queen Mary eventually gave it to her own daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth, who we now remember as the Queen Mother, around the time her husband became king in 1936. From that moment on, it became one of the Queen Mother's absolute signatures. If you look at photographs of her at the most important state occasions and portraits over the next 60 years, you will so often see this necklace. She famously paired it with her grand Greville tiara. The combination became synonymous with her unique brand of warm, regal grandeur. After her death in 2002, the necklace simply went quiet. It disappeared from public view for 16 years. You know how it is with these pieces, you begin to wonder if one has been unofficially retired, if its time in the spotlight is over. And then, in October 2018, at a state banquet for the King and Queen of the Netherlands, there it was, worn with such elegance by Catherine, the new Princess of Wales. She paired it with the Lover's Knot tiara, another famous pearl and diamond piece with its own rich royal history, and the whole effect was just breathtaking. It was one of those wonderful, surprising moments of continuity that the royal family does so well, a direct, visible link from Queen Alexandra to the beloved Queen Mother to the future queen. It's a piece so rich with history, and if you're curious to see it in person, it is, in fact, currently on public display at the Edwardians exhibition in London, a rare chance to see it up close. From the romance of pearls, we turn to the pure, undiluted power of diamonds. If the wedding necklace was a personal gift from her husband, another of her wedding presents spoke of her new public role, a magnificent statement from the nation itself. This was the City of London Diamond Riviere. This wasn't just any diamond necklace. It was composed of 32 spectacular Golconda diamonds, sourced from the legendary mines of India. Golconda diamonds are famed for their exceptional, almost watery transparency, a limpid clarity that makes them among the most coveted gems in the world. With a center stone of over 13 carats, this gift from the Corporation of the City of London was a jewel of immense value and importance, a fitting welcome for a future queen. And in a classic example of her trend-setting style, Alexandra didn't always wear it as a simple, traditional necklace. True to her love of chokers, she would have this magnificent riviere mounted on a black velvet ribbon to be worn high and tight against the throat. Other times, true to her love of lavish layering, she would wear it as a longer necklace, a blaze of pure white fire cascading below her pearl collars. After Alexandra's death, it passed to Queen Mary, and Queen Mary, with her famous passion for diamonds, had her own way of wearing it. She was known for her magnificent stacks of jewels, and this riviere would often take its place among 2 or 3 other diamond necklaces, creating an absolutely dazzling effect. From Mary, it was inherited by her granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II, in 1953. While she certainly wore it on occasion, notably during her final tour of Canada in 2010, it wasn't one of her most frequent choices. But its story was far from over. Today, this incredible jewel has entered its 4th generation of royal service. It has been worn by Queen Camilla for some of the most formal events in the royal calendar, including the state opening of Parliament. The jewels we've just talked about, the wedding necklace and the City of London Riviera, represent the main line of inheritance, passed from queen to queen consort down through the generations. But not all of Alexandra's treasures stayed in Britain. Her influence and her jewels also spread through her children, and a perfect example of this is the story of a beautiful choker that now resides in Norway. Alexandra's youngest daughter was Princess Maud. She was a spirited, fashionable young woman, very much her mother's daughter. In 1896, she married her first cousin, Prince Karl of Denmark. It was a good dynastic match, but one that would take an unexpected turn. In 1905, Norway dissolved its union with Sweden, and in a national vote, chose Prince Karl to be its new king. He took the name Håkon VII, and Princess Maud, daughter of a British king, became the first queen of a newly independent Norway. It seems that when Maud embarked on this new life, her mother, Queen Alexandra, wanted to ensure she went with a jewel that was worthy of a queen, but also one that was deeply personal. She gave Maud one of her own beautiful chokers. It's a very elegant piece, composed of rows of fine pearls separated by vertical diamond bars, with a diamond and pearl clasp. It was a perfect example of Alexandra's signature style and a truly lovely gift from a mother to a daughter stepping onto a new stage. And so this English royal jewel became a foundational piece for the new Norwegian monarchy. After Queen Maud's death, it remained a treasured heirloom within the family. In our time, it has been worn with immense pride and frequency by Queen Sonja, for whom this choker has become one of her most signature jewels. She wears it for the most important state occasions, a constant and visible link back to Norway's first queen of the modern era. It's a wonderful story of continuity, but of a different kind. It shows how Alexandra's personal collection didn't just enrich the British vaults, but also helped to seed the jewel caskets of other European royal houses. Now we move from jewels that have been passed down and worn frequently to one that tells a very different kind of story, a story of heritage, deep history, and long, quiet slumber in the royal vaults. This is the Dagmar necklace. Of all of Alexandra's jewels, this one is perhaps the most personal to her own story, as it was a wedding gift that connected her directly back to her Danish homeland. It was commissioned for her in 1863 by King Frederick VII of Denmark. The king had a great passion for history and archaeology, and he poured that passion into creating a magnificent and incredibly symbolic piece for his heir's daughter. The necklace itself is a stunning creation of about 2,000 diamonds and 118 pearls, but its heart is the spectacular pendant, a beautiful enamel replica of a famous medieval cross, the Dagmar cross, the original Byzantine-style cross, dating to around 1000 or 1200 AD, was supposedly discovered in 1683 in the grave of Queen Dagmar, the beloved first wife of a 13th century Danish king. She was remembered in folklore as the ideal queen, so the cross carried with it a powerful legacy of Danish identity. King Frederick didn't just create a copy. He imbued it with even more history. He had a splinter of wood, said to be a fragment of the true cross, and a tiny scrap of silk taken from the grave of the great King Canute, sealed within the replica. So it's not just a jewel, it's a reliquary, steeped in centuries of Danish royal and religious history. When this masterpiece arrived in London, the practical British court jeweler Gerard made some alterations, making the cross and some of the large pearl pendants detachable. This allowed Alexandra to wear it in different configurations. When she died, she bequeathed it to the crown with a very specific condition, that no part of it shall ever be altered. And that brings us to its modern history, which is what makes it so intriguing. The last time it was seen publicly was on a young Queen Elizabeth II during her state visit to Denmark in 1957. It was a perfect and thoughtful choice for the occasion. Interestingly, she wore the necklace without the cross attached, honoring the versatility of its design without violating her great-grandmother's command. And since then, silence. For over 60 years, this magnificent historical piece has remained unseen. I have to say, this is one of the pieces I would most love to see emerge from the vaults again. There's such a romance and a mystery to it. Can you imagine seeing it worn today? But here's the wonderful thing. While we may not see it on a royal person, we can see the necklace itself. Right now, there is an incredible and rare opportunity to see it in person. The Dagmar necklace, along with Queen Alexandra's wedding necklace, is currently on display at the Edwardians exhibition at the King's Gallery in London. If you have been lucky enough to visit the exhibition, please do share your impressions in the comments. I'm sure we'd all love to hear what it's like to see such a legendary piece up close. All right, so we've looked at jewels that are still very much in the public eye, and pieces that are sleeping beauties in the vaults. Now, let's venture into even more intriguing territory, with a story that feels like a real royal detective case. This is the mystery of Queen Alexandra's Indian necklace. Like the others we've discussed, this was also a wedding gift, but this one came from the top, from Queen Victoria herself. And it was an extraordinary thing. Not a traditional European design, but a magnificent suite of Indian ornaments, including a grand 7-row collar, an armlet, and 2 bracelets. It was made of uncut emeralds, diamonds, and pearls, with intricate enamel work on the back, a classic feature of Mughal jewelry. Contemporary reports were a little perplexed by it, describing it as more curious than beautiful because the gems were in the pure Oriental style, not cut for maximum sparkle in the European fashion. We know Alexandra wore it. There are famous photographs of her at the Devonshire House Ball in 1897, with the long collar draped artfully over her gown. But it's the fate of the necklace after her death that sparks the debate. For a long time, the accepted story, put forward by the respected jewelry historian Leslie Field, was quite straightforward. The necklace passed to Queen Mary, who, as we know, was famously pragmatic and unsentimental about altering jewels to suit new tastes. The theory goes that Queen Mary had the necklace broken up in the 1930s. From its components, she created a beautiful new set of pearl and emerald necklaces, which she then gave as a wedding gift in 1935 to her new daughter-in-law, Princess Alice, the Duchess of Gloucester. A couple of small pendants were also said to have been made from leftover elements, and that seemed to be that. Case closed. But, is it really that simple? I came across another rather curious theory that makes you look at the whole story again. It all comes down to the pearls, and the difficulty of comparing them. We don't have many perfectly clear, high-quality photographs of Alexandra wearing her necklace to make a definitive judgment. But when you start to look closely, as we can here, something interesting emerges. The top row of pearls in Alexandra's necklace, it looks quite similar in size to the necklace worn today by Birgitta, Duchess of Gloucester. But the other strands, the ones below, they really do seem to be made of smaller pearls. It raises a fascinating possibility. Could the necklace that Princess Alice received, and which Birgitta wears today, have been created from a different Indian jewel in Queen Mary's vast collection? It's quite a puzzle, isn't it? What do you all think when you look at the comparison? Perhaps the original necklace from Queen Victoria was dismantled, its precious gems reused in other ways that were never documented. Or perhaps it remains intact somewhere, its important provenance simply forgotten over time. We may still have yet to learn the final chapter in the story of this particular jewel. From a puzzle of conflicting histories, we now turn to a story that combines a clear line of descent with a modern-day surprise. This is the story of the Amethyst Suite. It begins with a magnificent gift to Alexandra from her sister, the Empress Maria Fyodorovna, and her husband, Tsar Alexander III of Russia. The gift was a spectacular tiara featuring large, oval Siberian amethysts set within beautiful diamond garlands. And Alexandra, who was known to be very fond of amethysts, later commissioned a magnificent necklace to coordinate with the tiara she'd been given. It was a very clever design, as the necklace could also be transformed and worn as a tiara itself. Frustratingly for us, however, we don't have any photographs of Alexandra actually wearing this necklace. We do know she wore the tiara, most notably at the wedding of her daughter, Princess Louise, in 1889, though for that occasion she had swapped out the amethysts for sapphires. After her death, The amethyst tiara and its accompanying necklace were inherited by that same daughter, Princess Louise, the Duchess of Fife. Louise, in turn, left them to her younger daughter, Princess Maud, who became the Countess of Southesk. So we have this very clear inheritance path through one branch of the family. We even know that Princess Maud wore both the tiara and the necklace to the coronation of her cousin, King George VI, in 1937. But the story takes a definitive turn after Princess Maud passed away. Her jewels were put up for auction, and with the fall of the auctioneer's gavel at Christie's in 1946, the tiara and necklace left the royal family. In recent years, the necklace has popped up in public on a few occasions. It was included in the famous tiara exhibition at the Vendée Museum in 2002, and then again in 2007, when it was put up for auction. It's even been seen worn by prominent society figures, including Kelly Fligger, the wife of actor Don Johnson. But since that last auction, the necklace's trail has gone cold once more. Its current fate is unknown, and it's presumably now held in a private collection, its story continuing on, just out of our sight. We've seen jewels with clear histories and jewels with mysterious ones, but now we come to a piece that feels like it belongs to another world entirely. It is a true legend of the royal vaults, and for many, the ultimate sleeping beauty of the entire collection. This is the Cartier Collier Rézy. The name itself, Rézy, is French for a fine net, like a fishnet, and that's precisely what it is. A delicate, impossibly intricate lattice of diamonds designed to drape over the neck and shoulders like a piece of luminous fabric. It was commissioned by Queen Alexandra from Cartier in 1904. In its original form, it had detachable pendants of cabochon rubies and emeralds, which were repurposed from some of her Indian jewels. We see her wearing it in stunning portraits, a shimmering veil of light against her skin. After her death, it passed to Queen Mary, who, being Queen Mary, had her own ideas for it. She had the colored stone pendants removed and replaced them with diamonds. Sometimes, for maximum impact, she would even suspend some of the legendary Cullinan diamonds from it. She wore it for some of her most iconic portraits in the 1930s and 40s, a breathtaking statement of royal grandeur. But after Queen Mary's death in 1953, when the necklace was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, it simply vanished from sight. It has not been worn in public for over 70 years. Its existence, however, is not a rumor. It was authoritatively documented in Sir Hugh Roberts' 2012 book, The Queen's Diamonds, confirming that this masterpiece is still safely in the vaults. The necklace is so iconic, in fact, that a replica was recently created for the television series The Gilded Age, a testament to its enduring fame. So it's not lost. It's not sold. It's simply waiting. This is another one of those pieces I would just love to see make a return. It would be a breathtaking moment, wouldn't it? I think it would look magnificent on Catherine, the Princess of Wales. With her elegant neckline, she could carry such a statement piece beautifully. Now, before we conclude, let's solve one of the biggest and most long-standing mysteries surrounding Alexandra's collection. Many of you will have seen this famous grand portrait of her. The necklace she wears here is absolutely magnificent, a spectacular diamond festoon piece. For decades, jewelry lovers have asked, what happened to it? Did Queen Mary remodel it? Is it sitting in the vaults? And recently, thanks to the work of historian Trond Noren Isaacson, who was granted access to Queen Alexandra's private jewelry inventories in the Royal Archives, we finally have a definitive, if rather sad, answer. The necklace was inherited by her middle daughter, Princess Victoria, and the words Queen Mary used to describe what happened next were that Victoria had simply disposed of it. The same fate, by the way, befell the beautiful wedding tiara Alexandra wears in this portrait. So this incredible jewel is not waiting in the vaults for its moment to return. Its story ended with Princess Victoria. And that necklace isn't the only quiet mystery tied to Victoria. If we look at photographs from the famous Devonshire House ball in 1897, we can see Alexandra wearing a lovely pearl and diamond choker in a delicate lattice design. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any definitive information about this particular piece. It, too, likely went to Princess Victoria, after which its trail goes completely cold. This brings us to a crucial point. What exactly happened after Alexandra passed away in 1925? In fact, Queen Alexandra died without a formal will. However, she had made careful annotations in a photographic inventory of her jewelry, identifying specific pieces that should be given to loved ones. It therefore fell to her family to sort through her vast collection. Queen Mary's own diary provides a poignant glimpse into this process. For Saturday, January 9th, she wrote, "At 11 to Sandringham, where Toria and Maud with George and me divided dear Mamma's jewels. It was interesting, but sad." And so began the Great Division. This single event, this sad but interesting task undertaken by the Queen and her sisters-in-law, is the key to understanding why Alexandra's treasures had such different fates. From a scar hidden beneath velvet to diamond rivers that flow on the necks of modern queens, the story of Alexandra's necklaces is about how the personal history of one woman becomes the heritage of a nation. Some of these jewels we can see and admire today. Others we can only imagine. But all of them, whether visible or hidden, continue to tell the story of one of the most stylish and influential queens in British history. And I'll mention one last time that if you find yourself in London, the opportunity to see the Dogma necklace and the wedding necklace at the Edwardians exhibition is a truly special one. The exhibition is at the King's Gallery in Buckingham Palace and runs until November 23rd, 2025. And it's not just these two magnificent necklaces. You can also see a wealth of other treasures from the era, including more royal jewels, incredible works by Fabergé, and even Queen Alexandra's magnificent coronation gown. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Queen Alexandra's remarkable collection. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more stories from the royal vaults.